Hello everyone, good afternoon. Well, on this video I'm gonna present our group's tasks, and the topic we choose is Transcendentalism Literature Era in United States. Before I started, I just want to say thank you for the chance has given for us to present our result. So without wasting our time, let's start it. Well, before we talk further, what is the definition of transcendentalism, and what is that transcendentalism? Well, first definition is transcendentalism is a philosophical movement that developed in the late 1820s and 1830s in the eastern United States. Another definition are transcendentalism was a religious, literary, and political movement that evolved from New England Unitarianism in the 1820s and 1830s. Well, the picture describes that the spiritual unity of all forms of being with God, man, and nature, all of that sharing a universal soul, like that. Well, next, what is Transcendental Club? The Transcendental Club was a group of New England authors, philosophers, socialists, politicians, and intellectuals of the early to mid 19th century, which gave rise to Transcendentalism. Uh, this group also consisted many female authors and thinkers such as Sophia Ripley and Margaret Fuller. Well, let's take let's take a look the transcendental members. Well, first we've got Frederick Henry Hedge. Frederick Henry Hedge, he was a founder of this club. He was a New England Unitarian minister and transcendentalist. Well, just like I said before, he was the founder of the Transcendental Club, originally called Hedge Club, and active in the development of Transcendentalism. He was one of the foremost scholars of German literature in the United States. There are also Ralph Waldo Emerson, George Ripley, and George Putnam. George Putnam was the Unitarian minister in Roxbury, and his tenure since 1807 until 1878. They met in Cambridge, Massachusetts on September 8, 1836. They met to discuss the formation of a new club. The formation official meeting was held 11 days later at Ripley's house in Boston. Other members of the club include Amos Bronson Alcott, Orester Bronson, Theodore Parker, Henry David Thoreau, William Henry Channing, James Freeman Crockett, Christopher Pierce Cranch, Conference Francis, Sylvester Judd, and John Sperry. Another female members include Sophia Ripley, Margaret Fuller, Elizabeth Peabody, Ellen Sturgis Hooper, and Caroline Sturgis Stephen. Well, let's see basic beliefs of Transcendentalism. Well, First, they believe everything in the world, including people, are a reflection of God or the divine soul. Well, they also believe the physical world is a doorway to the spiritual world, and they also believe people can use intuition to see God in nature and in their own soul. They also believe a person, just one person, is not society, the church, or government, just one. A person is his or her own best authority. Next, they also believe feeling and intuition are superior to reason and intellect. Well, I don't know what is that. Why they believe like that. Well, we got some major figures in the Transcendentalism movement in United States, such as Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Margaret Fuller. Well, let's start first with Ralph Waldo Emerson. Well, that's him. That's Ralph Waldo Emerson. Who is Ralph Waldo Emerson? Ralph Waldo Emerson, who went by his middle name Waldo, he was an American essayist, lecturer, philosopher, and poet who led the Transcendentalism movement of the mid-19th century. One of his best-known essays is Self-Reliance. In his essay on self-reliance, Ralph Waldo Emerson emphasized the importance of trusting one's own conscience. Only by doing so can one realistically expect to maintaining one's personal integrity. Everyone is constantly faced by social pressure to conform and follow a path that other people have established. While this option may seem easier or cause one less inner anguish and thinking ad- adherence to other people ideas and expectation will rarely yield good result. By self-reliance, Emerson means trusting one's conscience and maintaining one's personal integrity, especially in the face of social pressure to follow the patterns set by others. Ralph Waldo Emerson, born on May 25, 25, 1803, and he died on April 27, 1882. It's kinda sad. Well, next, we've got Henry David Thoreau. Well, that's him. Henry David Thoreau was an American naturalist, essayist, poet, and philosopher. He's best known for his book is Walden and his essay Civil Disobedience. Well, Walden is a book by Henry David Thoreau. The text is a reflection upon simple living in natural surroundings. The point of Thoreau's book, Walden, is to give us his philosophical views of how you should live your life. To me, his major points are you need to be one with nature. Yeah, just like that. Thoreau is a transcendentalist, and they believe that people and nature are both part of each other. While the civil disobedience is say, Thoreau's civil disobedience espoused that the need to prioritize one's conscience over the dictates of laws. He presents his own experience as a model for how to relate to unjust government. In protest of slavery, Thoreau refused to pay taxes and spent a night in jail. Civil disobedience, also called passive resistance, the refusal to obey the demands or commands of a government or occupying power without resorting to violence or active measure of opposition. Its usual, its usual purpose to force concessions from the government or occupying power. Henry David Thoreau, born on July 12, 1817, and he died on May 6, 1862. Well, next we got Margaret Fuller, the last contributor in this transcendental movement in United States. Margaret Fuller is an American critic, teacher, and woman of letters whose, whose efforts to civilize the taste and enrich the lives of her contemporaries make her significant in the history of American culture. She is particularly remembered for her landmark book, Women in the 19th Century, 1845, which examined the place of women within society. Women in the 19th century further advocated the reform of property laws that were unfair to women, uh, uh, a controversial and unpopular idea in many quarters. Their books, unpre- unprecedented and frank discussion of marriage and relation between men and women, also scandalized many. The first edition of the book sold out in a week and sparked a heated debate, bringing issues of women's rights to the nation's attention. Margaret Fuller was born on May 2023 and 1810. She died on July 19, 1850. Conclusion of this presentation is the Transcendental movement, which was a philosophy that dealt with spirituality and religion, was short-lived and predominantly centralized in the American literary community, but it created a great impact on world literature as a whole. The Transcendental movement opened the conversation in regards to truth, knowledge, and the American experience. Thank you.